welcome back to the channel, guys. We're gonna go over hoop house setups and then the early starts that are in the soil. Let's get into it. All right, so we're on the front side of the patch here, and what I'm gonna go over is hoop houses, kind of how I set mine up, and also kind of early season, before they are out of the hoops and things like that. So one thing I want to say is I'm going to try and get away from saying the term state fair plants. These are my early season plants. The intent for these are to match up with earlier weigh-offs. However, what I've found over the years is that usually the fruit will tell you which weigh-off they want to go to. This particular plant right here, it might go to the state fair, or it might have some really great growth and just go to a September weigh-off and be a 115-day fruit. So with that in mind, though, these are intended to be early weigh-off plants, being the time that I planted them. So you do have to have some intent around the time that you plant your seedlings. So we'll go over here first to the squash hut. This is the 563.5 tile, and I'll kind of show you this. This is what I would say is the most ideal setup, especially if you're a newer grower. It's easier to adjust the climate in these smaller huts. I use 10-foot electrical conduit, 3/4 inch sticks there, and I also added 3 additional feet. So I took one piece and I cut it into thirds and added that, so it's a little bit bigger of a hoop than your standard 10-foot stick, but it's a good size so you're not crouching down as far. You can make them a little wider if you want, and I really like doing that. Obviously there's plenty of YouTube videos on how to build these, but you're just using these potato chip clips, or binder clips I think is what they're called on Amazon. They open, the big part is that they open to 1.25 inches to 1.5 inches. If you don't have that, they won't fit and they'll just pop off to PVC. As we go inside the hoop, I have a fan set up here, and I also have the heater set up. Now these are set up on a timer. They come on at 8:30 in the morning. As far as the power source for the fan, this heater is it's got power source to it all the time, and it uses its own thermostat. So it's set to kick on at, like, I think 72 degrees is what I got it kind of marked out as. However, it doesn't keep it at 72. It's just when it starts to kick on, so it kind of holds the temperature in here. Usually overnights I can keep it in the upper 50s, lower 60s, depending on what the air temperature is outside the hoop. Moving on to the plants here. That's the one I intend on keeping. That's the primary one of the squash. I put this one in as a backup. Either one really could be the primary, so I never get really stuck on which one I want until I kind of see them running and vining. You see they both have a leaf here that's a little bit off. This one is actually from the grow lights. It got a little bit too close there as it was growing. And then this one is the natural flagging that you'll see happen sometimes on your first true leaf. I did not fertilize these two seedlings at all. I don't fertilize any of my seedlings out the gate. I do use a CalMag buffer on my soil mix, and if you kind of do some research on buffering your soil mix, you'll kind of see why. But I utilize a buffering solution of CalMag, and it's just to help with nutrient uptake and prevent any lockout, especially in the early stages of the plant. So also you get less of the real yellow spots if you put your seedlings in soil. In cold soil especially, you'll get that yellowing spot that happens. All right, we'll move on to the 1965.5 Rotoball hoop. You notice this one is significantly larger. Reason being is if I needed to keep this one in longer, I could. I usually build these for 2. So 2 plants would go inside one of these and run back to back. in this particular setup. I just did it in case I needed it and they're longer. These are 2 sticks of 10 footers. I believe one of the sticks was cut like 4 feet off. I used the other 4 feet in posts or whatever somewhere else. So you're looking at about 14-foot hoops. And then again, these are probably in the range of 10 to 12 feet wide, and it's approximately 14 to 16 feet long. So good size hoop house. Again, I have the heater and the fan setup. This particular setup for the fan, I have an inline 4-inch fan, and I run it to an intake outside the hoop. Reason being is if you have a cloudy day, you want to keep your hoops closed off. They still do get pretty warm. You can get it up to 80 plus degrees on a cloudy day, but this kind of keeps the air movement and pushing some fresh air in there, and it's worked out so far. So kind of like that little setup. The idea also was I was going to add a vent, and I still probably will on the opposite end. So as this pressurizes the hoop during the intake process, it would open up a gravity vent on the other side and the warm air would release. So still probably go through that process. Again, some of the things that I do each year, they're just kind of trial and error, hopefully more trial than error. Looking at the plants, they're doing pretty good. This is the one that I intended on going with. It was one of the strong ones out the gate. And then this is the backup. I put the backups in the hoops first, just as I said, you know, working out the kinks, making sure they don't get burned and all that good stuff or too cold. And once the kinks were for sure worked out, then I put the backup in. That's why, that's why I put the primary in. I do that because I'd hate to burn up the best plant just on testing and everything. So all worked out good. Backup's in, it's looking healthy, and the primary one is looking great. So should be a good start to the season. Some of you might ask about the chair over the plant. I typically will throw on a cover or shade or something like this over the freshly transplanted plant if it's not overcast days for the first 2 to 3 days. And so I throw these chairs kind of in the direction of the midday sun, probably anywhere from 11 to 3 is kind of where I try and place it so that it's shaded. And that works out pretty well for adjusting it, not getting the tips burned off, or kind of avoiding as much burn as possible. I use Govee. These are little temperature and humidity sensors. They hook up via Bluetooth to your phone, and I use those in each of the hoops as well. So not sponsored by them. Wish I was. I really enjoy them, and I might give you a shot of what the Govee does, but I may not, because I'm not sponsored by them. So I do appreciate their product though. Next, this is with no heat, no cool, no venting, what a plant will do. So this was a plant, kind of had a funky double leaf on it, and as you can see, it's not liking life right now. So I just kind of threw it in here, put it next to the air vent, no shade, no nothing. And if I weren't to do some of the things that I did, that's what your plant might look like. So if your plant looks like that when you transport them out, might need to look at your setup. You're burning it, it's too cold, it's too hot, all of the above. So I want to thank you guys for watching today. Just remember, choose one of the teams. You have till May 31st to get your team choices in. Look forward to seeing what everybody else has got growing on. Should be able to do weekly updates here now that we got plants in the ground, and get to see how they're advancing. And as different things come up, we'll try to add some more material and ideas and techniques that I utilize on my grow. So thanks for watching. Catch you guys on the next one.